So now we have a polynomial with 4 terms. So we have a polynomial with 4 terms. Okay, that's good, right? You know, again, we basically obtained that. We got that by replacing negative 17 with negative 8 minus 9. And up here, I showed what the minus 17x will become once we do this replacement. Now we do factor by grouping on this thing. And it turns out the GCF of this is going to be 1. I mean, it's really not terribly hard to see. I put it here. I mean, we have a non-zero constant term. So we can't take x out. That is, m is 0. So we have that. And if you look at 8 and 9 alone, they only have a common factor of 1. So that forces b to be 1. B, remember, is the greatest common factor of the coefficients and the constant term. So we get b is 1, m is 0. So we have the GCF is just 1 times x to the 0, which is 1. Sorry, went too fast. So altogether, we have this, right? This is what we have. We replace minus 17x, excuse me, with this. And we end up with this wonderful thing. Good. And so what we want to do now is we want to form the 2 groups. I think I missed but I think I overlooked something. Forgot to say something, I'm sorry. Between the second and third term, remember, it's always good to have addition. Okay? It's always good to have addition. Right? Because again, when you make those 2 groups using parentheses, you're less likely to make a mistake, mostly because of the minus signs. Not just you, but everyone, I mean. So we have addition here. That's what I did. And we formed our 2 groups. Okay? Formed our 2 wonderful groups. Now that we've done that, we have to do more GCF work. So for the first group down here, although the GCF is pretty, hopefully it's not too hard to see what it is. I mean, it's on the slide anyway. The smallest exponent of x, that's 1, right? Now the coefficient here is 8 and 8, but the greatest common factor of that is just 8. So because of that, our GCF is just going to be 8 times x to the 1, which is 8x. You know, any number and it's negative, or any number in itself, I should say, you know, they're going to have the same factors. So we get the GCF is 8 times x. What do we do next? We factor it. Namely, we put it in front and we divide like so. Put it in front, divide like so. Right? And when you divide, you do this. You divide into each term. Okay? And I do have the red ink here from the previous class, but hopefully you can still see what's happening. You know, here, for instance, the 8's cancel. X squared over x gives us x. 8x cancels with itself. We have 1. So we have 8x times x minus 1. Now that's for the first group here. But we want to also factor this group, the second group. Okay? So I replaced the first group. I replaced what we just got. I put it in. Notice also the second and the fourth term here have opposite signs. Thus, we must factor out a negative from the second group. You know, we get the GCF, but then we factor out its negative. Okay, so we have negative 9x and 9 plus 9. Okay, well, we can see there's a constant term. Okay, so, you know, you could take m to be 0 in the GCF. A number and its negative, 9 and negative 9, excuse me, 9 and, yeah, negative 9. They have the same factor, so the GCF there is just 9. Excuse me, the greatest common factor of 9 and negative 9 is 9. And so we get the GCF is 9, x to the 0, which is just 9. Okay, I mean, I think over here, over here I should have said negative 8 as one of these because the coefficient is negative 8. I mean, the answer is still right, though. A number and its negative have the same factors. So this is still correct. Okay, let me just fix that. Make this, yeah, that should be negative 8. I mean, it's still correct, though, what I have. So we get the GCF is 9. Okay, so again, we have to factor out a negative the GCF. Negative 9. Since, again, factoring it out, again, we factor it out. So what do? We divide. Okay, you're dividing. And when you divide into a sum, you have to divide into each term. And that's what I'm doing here. We have minus 9x over minus 9. Okay, so the minus 9s cancel, you get x. Here we have plus 9 over negative 9. Well, that's plus negative 1, which is the same as x minus 1. So this is what we get. So we have minus 9 times x minus 1. That's for the second group. Now, the first group, we have an x minus 1 here, right, in parentheses. Same thing here. That's good. That's what we want. You know, we want the same thing in parentheses. And now we factor that out. And once we do that, what's left over? Well, we have 8x, that's left over, plus negative 9 plus negative 9. The x minus 1 is in front. I mean, you could really stop here in this part of the problem. I rewrote this as 8x minus 9. That's what I did. But anyways, we have the 2 from the beginning. And then we have 2 times this, x minus 1 times 8x minus 9. So this would be our final answer, all factored. Now, I know some people like to see all the calculations. So that's what I have here. Again, you don't have to do this and all these calculations. I'm just presenting both because some people like to see all the steps. So this is the mathematics, I guess, in the background behind what's happening here.
Where does the 2 come from in the final answer of 8 minus 1x?
Well, that was from the beginning, over here, the GCF in the beginning.
We have to put that, we have to carry that over?
Mm-hmm. It's just from the very beginning, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good question. So from here, what we get is, again, I'm just showing all the calculations here, all the steps. So the x minus 1's in front. To get what's left over, we divide. And to divide means to divide into each term. And you can see by the red ink that the x minus 1s, they cancel here and here. So we get x minus 1 times 8x minus 9. And that's what we get. And again, this too came from the very beginning. This was the very first GCF we did in this problem. So this is again our answer. Are there any other questions on this? Again, you don't have to do this here. You could do this stuff over here, or you can show all the steps here. I just like to do both because some people get confused that they don't see all the steps. Some people get confused if they do. So I was just trying to meet everyone's needs. Okay. All right, time for the worksheet. So I did email it to everyone. Let me just share it though, because I think there might have been a typo on it. Here it comes. Actually, not there yet. I will post solutions. We'll go through as many as we can as well. I think in the other class, I got through the first 2, I think, when I went over it with everyone. But I will post solutions to all the questions here as well. So I think it'd be good for everyone to take about 10 minutes to do as many of these as you can, using the AC method like I did. Okay? So let me stop the recording.